مر الزمان تألقا وأضاء.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن تعذبهم فإنهم عبادك وإن تغفر لهم فإنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. صدق الله العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear respected brothers and sisters and fellow listeners and viewers. I read a verse from Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 118. This is the conclusion of Surah Al-Ma'idah. This verse is a very beautiful verse where I am reminded of the cry of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he recited this verse, and I would like to share the echoes and the pains of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with all of us. This is a verse that describes the prayer of Isa alayhi salam when he pleads to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is in the conclusion of the discussion where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the virtues and the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the people of Israel, and particularly Jesus alayhi salam, who was sent to them as a messenger. And the end, Isa alayhi salam says, "Oh Allah, if you punish them, they are your slaves. إن تعذبهم فإنهم عبادك." If you punish them, they are your slaves. You created them. وإن تغفر لهم, and if you forgive them, فإنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. You are almighty and all wise. One day the Prophet ﷺ was reading the Quran, and he came across this verse, and he said, "إن تعذبهم فإنهم عبادك." And then he remembered the verse of Ibrahim alayhi رَبِّ إِنَّهُنَّ أَضْلَلَّ كَثِيرًا مِنَ النَّاسِ فَمَنْ تَبِعَنِي فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي وَمَنْ عَصَانِي فَإِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. Oh Allah, the idols have misguided many of my nations. Those who worship you are from my nation, and those who disobey you, you are the most merciful. When the Prophet ﷺ read these two verses, he was reminded of these two nations and the two great prophets. And the Prophet ﷺ started to weep. And he said, "Rabbi ummati ummati." Oh Allah, my nation, my nation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the narration of Tirmidhi told Jibreel alayhi salam, ordered him, go to Muhammad, فَسَلْهُ مَا يُبْكِي. Ask him what makes him weep and what makes him cry. وَرَبُّكَ أَعْلَمُ. And Allah knows exactly what makes a Prophet ﷺ weep and worry. Jibreel alayhi salam, the great angel, comes down to the Prophet ﷺ, descends, and he asks the Prophet ﷺ, your Lord is asking you what makes you weep, Ya Rasulullah. What makes you cry? The Prophet ﷺ replies to Jibreel alayhi salam. He said, ask Allah what will happen to my ummah, what will happen to my nation, what will happen to my followers after I leave this world. Jibreel alayhi salam ascends to the heavens, and he expresses the emotions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in front of the King of the world, the heavens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, listening to the pain of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tells Jibreel alayhi salam to go inform his Habib, his most beloved Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that inna سنرضيك في أمتك ولا نسوءك يوم القيامة. Oh Muhammad, tell Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we will please you in the matter of your ummah, in the matter of your nation, and we will not disappoint you. Meaning, what will make the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam happy on the Day of Judgment is that every person that has recited the kalima la ilaha illallah is freed from the fire of hell and granted bliss and happiness in paradise. And that was the cry of the Prophet ﷺ. And I'm reminded of the beautiful story where the Prophet ﷺ asked Aisha radiallahu anha, "Oh Aisha, you want me to make dua for you?" And Aisha radiallahu anha says, "Ya Rasul, please make dua that Allah forgives my sins." The Prophet ﷺ raises his hands. "Allahumma ighfir li Aisha ma taqaddamat min dhanbiha wa ma ta'akhkharat wa ma asarrat wa ma a'lanat aw kama qala." Oh Allah, you forgive Aisha's sins, all the sins that she did in the past, the sins that she did and that she will do in the future, the sins that she did openly, hiddenly. Oh Allah, you forgive all of her sins. What a beautiful dua. Aisha radiallahu anha was so delighted. She was so excited that she dropped her head in the lap of the Prophet ﷺ out of shame, because she was in a state of joy, in a state of happiness. The Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha, his most beloved wife, he said, "Oh Aisha, ayasurruki du'ai. Did my dua make you happy? I can see it, but this dua has won your heart." Aisha radiallahu anha says, "Ya Rasul, why hasn't it made me happy? You've literally made dua that Allah forgives all my sins, and literally that seals the deal for me to paradise. If you are praying for my forgiveness, Allah is definitely forgiving me." The Prophet ﷺ says to Aisha radiallahu, "Inna hadihi da'watu li ummati ba'da kulli salat." I make the exact dua that I made for you, for my nation, after every single prayer. Now if we take into context the 5 times salah that Prophet ﷺ has basically ordered all of us to pray, if he used to make this dua after every salah for this ummah, for you and I, you can imagine how much he loved us. How many of us pray for our children 5 times a day? For our spouses 5 times a day? And if we take into context that every single salah the Prophet prayed outside the obligatory salah, we can't even count the amount of time the Prophet ﷺ prayed for us. So brothers and sisters, the Prophet ﷺ loved this ummah, and he cried for this ummah. And on the day of judgment, he will go into sajda, he will prostrate to Allah, and he will cry again. The cry was here, and the cry will be there on the day of judgment. And Allah will say to Muhammad, Ya Muhammad, irfa' ra'sak. Oh Muhammad, lift your head. وَصَلْ تُعْطَى, ask and you will be granted. وَاشْفَعْ تُشَفَّعْ, intercede, your intercession will be accepted. And there will be one cry for one person, for one nation. And the Prophet will say, Ya Rab, ummati, ummati, oh Allah, you save my nation, you save my nation, you save my nation from the blazing fire of hell. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the love of his Habib, of his most beloved Muhammad Rasulullah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the ability to benefit from his intercession on the day of judgment. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make us amongst those that when the Prophet sees us on the day of judgment, he is pleased to see us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to resurrect us in the company of his Habib. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqi wa alihi wa sahbihi ajmeen bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.
وللمكارم والتقى